Good. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to Breckland Council's Cabinet meeting on Monday, the 11th of September 2023. It is 9:30, so we will now commence the formal business of today's meeting. So move on to item 1, which are the minutes of the previous meeting held on Monday, the 3rd of July 2023, containing pages 4 to 14 of members' agenda pack. Are colleagues happy that they're a true and accurate record? Thank you very much. Item 2, we'll move on to apologies for absence. Teresa.
Thank you, Chairman. We've had apologies from Councillor Phil Cowan and Councillor Claire Bowles. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Item 3, any urgent business? I haven't received any. Item 4, declarations of interest. If any member has any declarations of interest not already declared, if they can declare that at the relevant item or excuse themselves from the room if it is pertinent to do so. Item 5, all non-members wishing to address the meeting, you are most welcome. Please do give me a wave and make sure your microphone's turned on. But all members, as always, are welcome to contribute to any item in the Cabinet agenda pack. Item 6, Chairman's announcements. I don't have any. Item 7, Breckland Community Funding application. Looking to Councillor Ashby. Lovely, thank you. So item 8 then, which is the Q1 Finance, Performance and Projects Report. I'll invite Councillor Webb to present, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm delighted to be able to bring to you the Q1 performance data to Cabinet today as part of this combined report. This report highlights some of the great work that the Council is currently doing, but also highlights some areas which we want to improve on in the next few months. Members will note that this is the first report to display a revised set of key performance indicators for which we are today seeking formal approval to report on going forward. The full list of these, which we have tried to present in a simpler, clearer way, can be found in Appendix B of the report. As a result, the key commentary to explain the data where needed is now included in the covering report. We've seen some pleasing data from most areas, with improvements to complaint response times following interventions from the OD performance team and the performance board. As a result of the changes to some of our processes and other work in train, we have seen the figures significantly improve in Q1. We now want to see a similar improvement to freedom of information response times, which are lower this time than last year, and have seen 9 out of the 93 requests receiving a late response. Work is underway to understand and resolve the root cause of these delays. This is an important issue, we realise that. We are also reporting for the first time on the percentage of food safety intervention actions taken within 2 months against businesses with a food hygiene rating of 0 to 2. This has fallen below our target in Q1, so it's being closely monitored against Q2 to establish if there's a trend relating to our ability to meet the indicator target. Finally, we've seen a rise in the number of missed bin collections, most significantly in June 21 bins compared to April 3 bins and May 10 bins. But I'm going to say this is really important. Yes, we're talking about 3 and 10 bins. For goodness sake, it's 300,000 bins which we collect. So, you know, it's a phenomenal amount of bins, and it's a very, very small proportion which gets missed. So we're looking at work being undertaken to see whether the target of 10 is appropriate or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And in relation to the Q1 Finance report, that's all contained within members' agenda pack. I'm sure colleagues have read and digested, so happy to take any questions in relation to item 8. Councillor Clark, please, and then Councillor Clark, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Webb. Yes, I noted a couple of things looking through the report. The first thing in terms of finance performance, I noted the pressures on revenue and services and the reference to savings and obviously the need to protect our more vulnerable residents. So I obviously hope there can be cross-party discussion in how those savings might be achieved. That's my first sort of comment. The second one I noticed in relation to the new performance criteria, referred in performance 1 around disabled facility grants, etc. I know that obviously there's a you're hoping to have a new way of looking at that with data providers. And when do you anticipate coming up with that new measure? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clark. So in relation to the financial position around our most vulnerable residents across the district, obviously you'll be aware at the last cycle of this council we invested over £1 million in that programme. That work is ongoing with Councillor Ashby and his directorship. We're hoping to be able to present that in the emerging budget position of the focus for these coming 4 years. Of course, that activity doesn't just stop around that wider work we're doing. There is that position around that ongoing support for those who have money debt advice, and you'll note that we're the only council in Norfolk to continue to fund the citizens' advice to the level we do, and in turn have independent money debt advice workers, as well as the work we're doing for our revenue benefits partnership, in which we've got that incredible amount through that discretionary scheme. And of course, we've got that wider challenge which every council is sadly facing at this moment in time around temporary accommodation. And as you'll know from the last council report, we made that decision to become a stockholding authority again. One step for us to move forward to attempt to deal with that big challenge we're facing across the district. I know that Councillor Bowes isn't here today, but she would confirm that she's hopeful over these coming months to present the next stage of our housing strategy and position to deal with that ongoing challenge we're facing. In relation to DFG, you'll note from the council's questions we had back in July that we've got our new financial position for this year to confirm that, as always, we keep a residual amount of that back for priority 1 cases. And I know that Councillor Bowes is working with her colleagues at Norfolk County Council to work out how we can lobby government to change the formula position for that, so that councils such as us, which have a higher rate of need, can amend that. But of course, that challenge and that funding isn't ours. We're just the individuals who port that money. And just to confirm again that all those individuals who have been assessed are getting that money through to in a timely manner as we're required to do so. So hopefully that responds to those 2 questions there. Any other questions at all? Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Sam. For a council that aims to allow our residents and businesses to thrive, I think both the Q1 performance information and the key performance data actually are both very positive, but also a call for us to continue to push harder. The budget information in terms of financials, it is as expected. We are early in the year, but at least we have a real target in order to make sure that our financial performance over the course of 23-24 will deliver what we need to do. In terms of our key performance indicators, people know my view. To my mind, there are a large number of them, but they encourage us to be as transparent as we can. Every one is important, even when we see some frustrating anomalies, such as the FOI requests, a small handful, particularly on the housing, the IT side, which we are required to respond to, and on occasion, certainly when FOI requests come from press and others, they can often require a great deal of information and time to put together. That said, as echoing Councillor Webb's point right at the outset, this is a positive set of indicators early in the year. I commend it to the rest of Cabinet to approve.
Lovely, thanks. I've got Councillor Kybird and then Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Chairman. The FOI request figure, does that represent a large number of requests or complexity of requests, and is it adequately resourced?
Lovely. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader, for a second go. Question for Councillor Hewitt on the car park strategy, which is listed there. I know there's a date there of February 25. Can you confirm when the study will be produced, you know, the feasibility study and any data on that? And also urge the Cabinet that any information from that study has a read across to both not only the local plan, but also any discussions that may be going forward on, say, the town delivery plans, you know, across Breckland, not just in Dereham. Thank you.
I can confirm that the study will be released and shared with all stakeholders later in the year. It's really, really important that we get all stakeholder involvement in this. This is the first major study that we've done since 2017. A lot of stuff had happened in the meantime, but as I mentioned previously, we need to ensure that all of our assets work for all of our taxpayers, all of the time, and as such, any taxpayer, any interested party will have a chance to have a say as our plans evolve.
And FOIs, Paul? Alison?
Yeah, thank you. Basically, as I said, there was 9 out of the 93. Now, I'm not very good at percentages, anybody who knows me, but 9 out of 90, pardon? Well, yes, I know. Right, okay, so 9 out of 93, not good enough as far as we're concerned. That's why we're looking at works to try and resolve, make this quicker, because we need to make sure that freedom of information is a really important thing. Residents have the right to ask us questions, and we're obliged and we have a conscience to get back to them as soon as we can within timescales. So, yes, there is work going on, and I can reassure you that this is going to get better for next time you hear from me. Thank you.
Paul?
And I will just follow up, of the 9, more than half a dozen related to a single item, which is housing. And from that perspective, there were a couple of challenges that came through which required some quite detailed investigation to fully respond to.
Lovely, thanks. Any other questions from members on item 8? No.
Okay, so my recommendation to Cabinet is, 1, that the report in appendices be noted, and 2, that the Cabinet adopt the revised performance indicators in the report for use in 2023-2024. Thank you.
Thanks, all those in favour. Thank you, that's carried. So move on to item 9 then, which is the performance framework review. Alison to present, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Right, me again. Today I'm bringing back to you, for your discussion and approval, the new performance framework for the Council. If you might remember, back in July we had a bit of an issue with formatting issues, so we actually put this on so that everybody could see exactly what was being proposed. It's important. The performance framework is a key piece of the Council structure and sets out clearly how we measure, report and challenge performance as an organisation. Whilst the committee structure dictates who sees what parts of performance, this document underpins the principles that the Council should follow in constructing and managing performance. As part of a routine review, we've looked at best practice across other councils. Whilst the framework itself is sound, we've also taken the opportunity to describe performance in a much simpler and less technical way, which suits me. We have incorporated the feedback that we were given on the original framework into this revised version, which you see today. What we hope you will see from your new proposed framework is a much simpler picture of how performance management works at the Council and the steps we take to ensure that we can give an accurate picture of how we are doing. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Any questions or comments from colleagues? I've got Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Sam. As somebody who has actually tried to implement performance frameworks in banks and other financial organisations, I think this is a really impressive step in our way of demonstrating the fact that we are an agile and responsive council whose main purpose is to ensure that our residents and our businesses can thrive. Everyone in Breckland Council is a risk holder. Everyone, regardless of role or responsibility, is responsible actually for the performance of this council in generating our core objective, which is to allow our businesses and our residents to thrive. This framework gives us the flexibility, it gives us the language to talk through, it gives us a process to understand, plan, doing, reviewing and make sense in terms of everything. It is I'm surprised more councils don't do this. It's a really good step in ensuring that we can work exclusively on behalf of our taxpayers and our residents. I commend it. Sam.
Great, thanks. Any other comments from colleagues? Just a thanks, Alison, to you and the Chairman of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission, because I know that he fed in some of his comments around this, and I know that when this moves forward to its next journey, I'm sure that they'll get strong adoption. Actually, as Councillor Hewitt mentioned, actually it's a really important tool, particularly for the onboarding process of those new members to this council, to understand their role in supporting us through monitoring, but also finding that improvement around some of those KPIs we've got across the council. Only question I've got is in relation to the national framework and statutory returns. Does offlog constitute a statutory return now, and therefore do we need an amendment for bullet point 4, because we've only got local authority housing return, finance, service and workforce.
Can I pass that, please, to one of the gentlemen who
Fine.
know better
I hadn't got
than
boss
I?
eyed, I was looking over your shoulder.
I believe it does, Councillor, so I will make an alteration to that before we take that to open scrutiny.
Great, super stuff. If there are no further questions at all looking around the room.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, recommendation is to agree the adoption of the revised performance framework. Thank you.
And recommend, okay, yeah, it's fine. And it's off to scrutiny on the 14th of September.
That's it, yeah.
Yep, super. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's moved. So move on to item 10. Oh, it's Alison again. We'll move on to item 10, the ICT and Digital Strategy 23-26.
Last one, I promise. Okay. So today I have the privilege of presenting the IT and digital strategy for Breckland Council. This strategy is not just a document, it's a roadmap, a vision and our commitment how we will leverage technology to better serve our community members. Our approaches are guided by 3 core themes being informed, supported and empowered. These themes resonate with our Council's broader vision and serve as the pillars upon which the strategy is built. Informed mean enhancing access to information and facilitating data-driven decision-making, both within the Council and alongside and among our residents. Supported means recognising the integral part of technology in supporting our members, officers and residents to incorporate technology into their work streams regardless of their circumstances. Empowered means using technology to enable our users, both internal and external, to solve their issues and achieve their goals. The benefits of this strategy extend far beyond our technical improvement stage for fostering innovation and efficiency within our Council to improve accessibility and user experience for all of our community. Moreover, we have put in place robust governance and compliance measures to ensure the responsible and transparent management of our digital initiatives. Key performance indicators will help us track our progress and adapt our approach as needed. So, why should we be approving this strategy today? It aligns with our Council overarching goals, prepares us for the future, and most importantly, it sets the stage for a more inclusive, efficient and innovative Breckland. This strategy isn't just an investment in technology, it's an investment in the future of Breckland and ensure that we remain a council where everyone can be informed, supported and empowered, which is how we should be. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thanks, Alison. Jason, Ralph or Simon, anything else to add? Nope. Super. Any questions or comments? I've got Councillor Crane, Councillor Hewitt, Councillor Kybird and then Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Councillor Webb. Bearing in mind this Council's commitment to sustainability, what are the environmental implications of this strategy, please?
Thank you, Councillor Crane.
Slow down, Alison.
Sorry.
Councillor Hewitt.
Or are you going to do more? Help.
Observation, Sam. Who would develop an IT strategy in the current climate? We would. Because the nature of our relationship with residents is changing. We've got more data about what is important for our residents. But in order to meet those 2 challenges, we need a flexible, relevant and an applicable strategy that actually allows us to understand not just where our residents currently sit, what they do, how they interact, but also how their interaction might change at some point in the future. I think to develop a strategy around 3 core themes of informed, supported and empowered is hugely sensible and is agile enough for the future.
Thanks, Paul. Alison, then.
Thank you, Councillor Crane, for your question. Sustainability is something we take very seriously. It's woven into the fabric of this strategy. We're using cloud-based services to help us conserve energy and reduce waste. We talk about our equipment all costing money, and it also has a sustainability and environmental impact. So what we're looking at is doing a focus on repurposing, disposal of outdated or unused technology, and obviously when we refresh programmes across the council, then we've got to make sure that our environmental impact is good, and also the devices are fit for our members to use. And this is really, really important. Members and officers, I should say. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thanks. Councillor Kyber, then Clark, please.
Thank you, Chairman. AI will obviously give opportunities. Is there any advice coming from government as to how local government should look at and implement that?
Yes, commend your strategy there, which I support. I want to pick up particularly on one of the core objectives there, which is around digital inclusion. But significant majority of the population. I wonder how you're going to roll that out. So I look forward to further reiteration of how you're going to ensure we have digital inclusion as far as possible in most of the community. Thank you.
Great. So we'll come to one of the officers in relation to His Majesty's Government's advice on AI for local government, and then we'll come to Councillor Webb in relation to our digital inclusion strategy. Which one of you is going to take it?
You have a stab and I'll
I think it's quite difficult to try and influence what the government are going to, or what they're currently sort of advising about the use of AI. But obviously, you know, we do take a lead from central government on AI in a very careful way. I would say we want to make sure that our data is protected, and the rollout of AI, although it's a new and emergent technology, we do probably need to be sort of careful about how we use it. So I think it's careful steps, taking all the advice that we can, both sort of from central government and from the private sector.
If I can just add, I was just trying to find a date in my diary actually. The UK are playing a leading point on this, and central government have got, I think it's later on in October, like I said, I was trying to find it. They're inviting all of the AI specialists from around the world to a conference in London, like I said, in September. And off the back of that, we're expecting some more guidance and policy activity. So excitedly watching that and seeing how that lands, and then what we can take from it and put into our own policies.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Clark, for your question. Digital inclusion is really quite a hard one. It's got better over the last few years because more and more people are using digital equipment. However, we always note that there are a certain amount of our residents who don't want to, and we accept that part of things. We've always got to keep that in mind. What our strategy is trying to do is to encourage people to use it, not make them, but encourage. And if they really, really don't want to do it, then to look at other ways where we can answer the questions they need. So this is important. The community is a mixture. We know that, of all sorts. We're all different types of people. But thank you for that. And I will get back to you with further news as things progress. Thank you.
And just to expand on that, Councillor, I know that through the work which Councillor Ashby is doing with partners across Norfolk, working with the DWP and our health colleagues and our county council colleagues to make sure that we have a planned programme of activity to make sure we're uplifting everybody's skills across not just the county of Norfolk but across rural counties such as ourselves, because there's not a one-size-fits-all, and actually it's quite a bespoke set of programmes in which those individuals, rightly or wrongly, as Councillor Webb alluded to, are being directed to online activity to access that support and need. So what Councillor Webb has said is absolutely right, because this council has made a strategic decision to ensure that if you need to telephone us, we will always be there. If you want to see us face to face, we will always be there. But we will continue to invest in that technology to allow people to access us 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So I've got...
Can I just add something else to the question? Yeah, and I forgot, of course, Alexa. Alexa is the one thing where if you don't want to use a computer, you can ask Alexa. It's really one of the good systems, what we've got, which are enable people who have not got a computer, don't want to use a computer, they can ask Alexa. So we're working on expanding the Alexa side of things. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I've got Councillor Ashby and then the Chairman of the Council, Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd be interested to know how the strategy ensures that we are prepared for inevitable changes in technologies and trends. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
Take them in twos.
Sorry, another one.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I think you actually answered my question because you have a strategy with Norfolk County Council, because a lot of my patch hasn't got availability of the broadband. It's very, very low pickup. Some can't even pick it up at all, and I've been having lots of complaints recently, and I was just wondering what we was doing to lobby County Council to keep this rollout going with Open Reach, considering we put up quite a few £1,000 a few years ago, and some of the villages still haven't got sufficient broadband Wi-Fi connection.
Good. So I'll come to Councillor Webb for that first question from Councillor Ashby. So just to confirm, through the Better Broadband for Norfolk programme, this council invested £1 million of capital money for that. That was across other local authorities across Norfolk for us as a county to leverage in further funding for that programme. That programme is still ongoing, but our allocation for that has now been spent, and we will ensure that members, Councillor Wilkinson, have an update of the success of that programme across the district of Norfolk. There are still black spots in the county, we accept that, but actually the work this council's doing with others to make sure government is invested in that, and also getting private sector investment, and I'm sure your villages will see numerous companies trying to make residents aware of the programme of activity they're taking place. I won't name them because they're numerous and I don't have favouritism, but actually we need to make sure that that is targeted in our approach. And I know the work that Councillor Suggett's doing with Councillor Crane, Councillor Bowes and others through the local plan review is making sure that those providers have an understanding of future growth across the district, not just in relation to broadband activity, but wider infrastructure and access to health and education as well. So you're absolutely right, and it is at the forefront of the work we're doing. And just to confirm, there isn't a strategy yet for digital inclusion and training across the county. That's emerging with key partners to make sure that that moves forward. So once that is signed off with a clear understanding of what that looks like, we'll be able to share that with colleagues across the district.
And to Councillor Ashby's question regarding future, how are we prepared for future technological trends and challenges? Okay, so being prepared for the future is our key thing, really, to be perfectly honest here. We are investing in scalable solutions. We're adopting as our needs grow and as our new technologies emerge. The strategy itself is designed to be flexible, allowing us to pivot and adapt to emerging trends without causing disruption. We're actively looking into collaborations with tech companies and academic institutions to keep us abreast of the latest innovations. Regular reviews are the most important part of our strategy, ensuring that we can make adjustments as needed, and we've already got some adjustments that are coming up that I'm aware of, so it's a changing document, a living document, and we need to make sure Breckland Council is always at the forefront of digital innovation. Thank you very much.
Good, thanks. Any other questions or comments from colleagues? No?
No. Okay, so recommendation is to approve and implement the IT and Digital Strategy 2023 to 2026. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Alison, have a rest, stand down. So we'll move on to item 11 then, which is the Breckstone Curlew Buffer and Spatial Protection Area, SPA. Councillor Suggett to present, please.
Thank you. This report addresses new advice from Natural England to the Council with respect to development and Breckland's Special Protection Area, which is a designated conservation area for wild birds, particularly stone curlews. These are a rare species which are protected under the Countryside and Wildlife Act of 1981, and one of the largest colonies of these birds live within the heathland and farmland of the Brecks. The local plan has a policy, ENV03, in respect to development in the Brecks, which includes a buffer around the special protection area restricting development. This buffer has been in place for many years and is periodically updated as new evidence comes forward. Natural England have updated their advice based on survey work on the nesting habits of stone curlews, and this has resulted in the boundary of the buffer being slightly changed. It covers a smaller area than before, with less impact on Swaffham and Watton. This is set out in the appendices of the Cabinet report. It has also led to some changes in advice, such as developments adjacent to the buffer no longer requiring a habitats regulation assessment, and some infill development being able to continue within certain settlement areas within the buffer, such as Thetford and Wheaton, without undergoing that process. There are a few areas where the criteria is stricter, such as Thompson and Folden, but generally the area impacted has been reduced. In terms of what this means for any new development, proposals which are within the buffer and do not meet the Natural England criteria will need to be signed off by Natural England in discussion with the Council as local planning authority and go through the Habitats Regulation assessment process. It is recommended that the Council adopts this advice as a material consideration in determining planning decisions for the reasons set out in the report. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Sarah, any questions or comments from colleagues at all in relation to this? I've got Councillor Clark, then Councillor Kyber, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the update, Councillor Suggett, Natural England. Yeah, thinking about the Brecks, and obviously being a long-standing member of the Planning Committee, I'm obviously aware of the guidance that's come out before this. Am I right in assuming that there will be a particular briefing to Planning Committee members or advice either within the Planning Committee agenda or as a separate item, just to tease out any particular nuances? And I note the distinction between residential and commercial development that's mentioned in the guidance. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Kyber, please.
Thank you. Let's try again. I note Natural England rely on evidence that we commissioned and that's not in the public arena. Is that unusual, and did we grant them access to that, or did they just take it?
Thank you both for your questions. Yes, Councillor Clark, we will make sure that members are briefed on the latest advice, especially the Planning Committee members. And I will pass over to Simon about your question, Councillor Kyberd.
Thank you, Councillor. My understanding is that all the evidence that Natural England rely on is evidence that is in the public domain, and quite happy to point you towards that outside the meeting.
Any other questions? If not, I'll move to Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Sam. Sarah. For me, I think this new guidance redresses an imbalance, perceived or otherwise, in terms of what is often used as an unnecessarily harsh piece of guidance that basically restricts any development anywhere within that zone. Having less impact on Swaffham and Watton, and perhaps on communities that border these zones, taking on board the information about Thompson and Folden. For me, this gives a slightly better protection for both wildlife, but also protection and ability for our residents to continue to live in an outstanding area. It's advice, it's guidance. I take on board Councillor Cart's point that actually, from a planning committee perspective, I think we do need to look quite carefully in terms of what the opportunities as well as the challenges this new advice gives.
Councillor Clausen, please.
Yes, on the data, just one that we heard about ages ago now. Shadwell claimed that their farming methods, they could actually move the stone coolers around the estate, and that the numbers actually significantly improved by doing so. Now, Natural England are you can't do anything anywhere, any time kind of outfit. I'm just wondering if they actually know about this and if this data has been included.
I can't say if the data has been included, and I can't say whether or not Natural England are aware of it. What we have done when we've spoken to the Shadwell estate in the past about their land and potential uses of their land is always advise them to speak to Natural England because of this particular issue. I hope that they take that advice on board. I'm sure they do, and we'll continue to to push it. I'm aware that there can be mitigation on large land holdings. I'm aware that's the case with the Thetford Urban Extension, for example, where we were able to grant permission for that because there is a large estate associated that enables you to move stone curlews around, and Natural England and the RSPB are all part of that process.
Thanks, Paul. Any other questions or comments in relation to this? Councillor Wilkinson?
I actually didn't put my hand up, but I will just mention something. Where the map is concerned, from the Benfield ward to the borders of Swaffham, that's not practical for building there anyway, so they're really safe there, and it's a really nice part of the Brecks.
Councillor Plummer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment, really. On the farm and fraternity, we're already now putting AB8s and AB9s around all our fields, which is wildflowers and that. Rewilding is a great future. So I feel that the bird population, the wildlife, curlews especially, are going to have a lot more area to nest on. So I just want to make that comment because at the moment farming has in the past and does today protect wildlife. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Paul. And I know that the work which Councillor Sherwood and now Councillor Crane is doing across the district and working with landholders to make sure they're fully aware of what they could be doing now and into the future around some of those mitigations which you've alluded to. And I know that Councillor Suggett is meeting with some landowners over the coming weeks for a breakfast meeting to talk through what some of their plans are, making sure that we're able to support them as the local planning authority, linking in with our Breckland environmental strategy as well, so that we're trying to find some extra capacity for them, because of course they're busy individuals, they've got businesses to run, they've got to keep food on our plates, and actually any work we can do to alleviate some of their pressure and stress and do some of that policy work for them will be a welcome position for all of them. If there are no other questions or comments at all?
I'd like to recommend that Breckland Council notes the new advice as a material consideration for the purposes of determining planning applications within the Brecks SPA and buffer areas and as evidence for work on the local plan update. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. That's unanimous. So there is no other items of business. So item 12 then. The date of the next meeting will be the 16th of October 2023 here in the Angley Room at Elizabeth House, commencing at 9:30. I now formally close the meeting. Thank you.